Today on Mystery Hunters, we investigate ghosts. I go to Tennessee to track down one of the scariest cases of a ghost haunting ever recorded. Hello? Bell Witch? Poltergeists are supposed to be noisy ghosts that make things move around by themselves. Doubting Dave shows how you can do it too.
Thanks. And I go to England to investigate the ghost of a queen who lost her head. Literally.
Ghosts that haunt places, but have you ever heard of ghosts that haunt people? They're called poltergeists, or noisy ghosts, because they smash things and throw furniture around. For some reason, poltergeists especially like to haunt teenage girls. But do they really exist? Wish me luck. I'm in Tennessee to investigate one of the scariest cases of a poltergeist haunting ever recorded. They call the poltergeist the Bell Witch. Many people say the Bell Witch cost this man, John Bell, his life. John Bell's son, Richard, was there to witness what happened, and he writes about it in this book. According to Richard Bell, the story starts in 1818. The Bell family is sleeping peacefully in their beds. Suddenly, something freaky happens that wakes the children. Terrifying sounds echo through the house. The windows rattle, and the house shakes. Then, an invisible force targets Richard's 13-year-old sister, Betsy. Things begin to get really scary after that. When furniture moves around by itself like that, it's supposed to be a sign you've got a poltergeist in your home. The poltergeist terrorizing the Bell family is female and tells them her name is Kate. The Bell family owned this house. If I go in there, maybe I can discover the truth about the Bell Witch.
Could the ghost of a headless queen be haunting her childhood home? People here in the east of England say the ghost of a beheaded queen has returned to her childhood home. Is it just a story, or could it be real? Blickling Hall is where Anne Boleyn grew up. She married King Henry VIII in 1533 and became Queen of England. But the marriage only lasted for 3 years. Henry wanted a son to take his place as the next king, but Anne gave birth to a baby girl. King Henry was furious and accused Anne of cheating and witchcraft. He had her head cut off. And now, many people believe she's back.
Hello, Araya.
Dennis Mead has worked at Blickling Hall for 20 years. A lot of the people who work at Blickling Hall say a ghost wanders around here, and they all give the same description. A woman in a long gray dress with a lace collar and cap. Have you ever seen the ghost?
Well, I've had several experiences, and one of them, the one that always sticks out in my mind.
One night, Dennis had been waiting for a painting to be delivered. The delivery men arrived very late because their truck had broken down.
And I said to them, don't you want a signature to say that I've received this portrait? And they said, no, Governor.
The lady signed it.
Lady? What lady? Yes, here.
The lady right there.
But they were quite emphatic that there was a lady in that room who had signed
Well, she was wearing a long grey dress and a white collar.
So we went into the room to see if there was anybody there, and of course there was nobody there. And just as I looked at the docket, which the lady was supposed to have signed, there was nothing on it. It was blank.
There's no signature here.
And then I heard the clock strike midnight.
When the clock strikes midnight, staff here at Blickling Hall get goosebumps. It could signal the arrival of a coach driven by a headless horseman. Inside the coach sits Anne Boleyn's decapitated body, with her severed head in her lap. This is where Anne Boleyn's head was cut off, the execution site at the Tower of London. Phil Wilson is a yeoman warder, a guard at the Tower of London.
Anne Boleyn's head was taken off with one blow of the sword.
Was it part of the yeoman warder's job to behead people?
No, it wasn't.
The yeoman warder tells me that while Anne was locked in the Tower of London, waiting for the executioner to arrive, she wrote a letter to her husband, the king, with her final request: to be buried where she was happiest, her childhood home at Blickling Hall. The king didn't respect her wishes. Anne Boleyn was buried here in this chapel at the Tower of London. But some people believe her body, or parts of her body, were secretly taken from the tower. Years later, a body part was discovered, buried in the walls of this church in Irwinton, a town where Anne used to spend her summers as a girl. Could the body part belong to Anne? And if it does, could that mean that her ghost really does haunt the places where she grew up?
An evil entity they call the Bell Witch terrorized the family that once owned this house.
Are you looking for this?
Yes, I'm Christina.
I'm Tim Henson.
Hi. Tim Henson is the town historian. Could the Bell Witch still be in here?
It's possible. Many people say the Bell Witch is still here.
Hello? Bell Witch? Doesn't seem like she's here at the moment. Why did the Bell Witch attack Betsy Bell?
We really don't know. It seems to be that the primary target was her father, John Bell. It hated John Bell. And ultimately, a neighbor was brought in to try to find out why. James Johnson, a religious, strong-headed man, a neighbor, asked this classic question: in the name of the Lord, who are you? Where did you come from? And it said, I am a spirit. I have been disturbed. But even with the help of the neighbors, did not stop John Bell from a horrible death on December the 20th, 1820. He died of poisoning.
You mean the Bell Witch poisoned him?
Yes, according to legend, doctors determined that he had been poisoned. And even as they carried him to the graveyard and lowered him into the ground, the witch laughed and sang so loud that they couldn't hear the preacher.
The Bell Witch told the family her name was Kate. Can you tell me why?
Kate Batts was an eccentric neighbor of John Bell's, and they had a dispute over some land. And she said that she was going to get John Bell, and they began to call the spirit of the witch Kate.
Can you take me to where Kate Batts is buried?
Well, I can take you to the Batts Cemetery.
Maybe we'll run into the Bell Witch there.
We're not exactly sure where Miss Kate is buried. Her stone may have been lost or stolen.
When did Kate die?
She died about 1826.
1826. John Bell died in 1820. But Kate Batts died 6 years after John Bell. That means the Bell Witch couldn't have been the ghost of Kate Batts because she was still alive when John Bell died. So maybe the Bell Witch is nothing more than a ghost story, a really scary book of fiction. Maybe, except there are people in this town who say they have evidence the Bell Witch is real and is hiding in this cave on the old Bell family property.
I've heard too many things in there to know I don't want to be in there by myself.
There's one way to find out.
Two trucks full of junk, 2 teams of kids, and 6 hours. What on earth can you do with that lot?
Our teams have to build a water bike,
A spring-loaded catapult.
a cannon.
The amazing world of Operation Junkyard. Weekends at 2:25 on Discovery Kids.
Will these things even work?
When Anne was a girl, she spent happy summers in Irwinton visiting her cousin.
Hello, Araya. It's nice to meet you. Come with me.
Rector David Newton says something was found hidden in the church wall. How was it discovered?
Well, in 1836, this part of the church was in ruins. Over there on the south side, the wall was bulging out. So the workmen leveled it off, and as they did that, they discovered this lead casket.
Well, what was inside?
All they found was black dust. I guess it could have been a heart once upon a time.
Have you ever seen the casket yourself?
No, but the sacristan in the 19th century, as soon as that casket was found, said, "This must be the Queen's heart."
Do you think there's any connection between the heart and the reports of Anne Boleyn's ghost?
Well, who knows? Strange things do happen in this area. Temperature drops, there's sort of screaming sounds, things like that. And generations of people have heard these things and felt these things and thought, must be something to do with Anne Boleyn.
Could someone have removed Anne Boleyn's heart from the Tower of London and brought it here, to the church in Irwinton? I know Anne Boleyn's head was cut off, but is it possible that her heart was cut out too?
Not really, unless the king had requested it.
Well, could there have been time that she was left alone before she was buried? Maybe somebody was able to remove her heart then.
No, straight after the execution, the remains would have been buried here in the chapel.
Well, then could somebody have opened her grave after she was buried and removed her heart?
Highly unlikely, as she was buried beneath the floor in the chapel, but can't be completely ruled out.
I can't see Anne Boleyn's body or even her heart, but I did get to talk to some people who live and work in this house. Some believe in Anne's ghost and others don't.
I've lived and worked at the hall for 4 years now, and I've never seen her name.
What about the other people that work here? Do you think they're just imagining what they see?
No, I don't think they're imagining things at all. I think some people are just more prone to seeing ghosts than others.
I guess the best way to find out if there's any truth to the story is to wait for her ghost myself. These are the gardener's sleeping quarters. Legend has it that he used to hear the gravel crunching at midnight. But he was too scared to look out the window. Does the ghost of Anne Boleyn really haunt Blickling Hall?
Come, we've got to return this horse and carriage.
Jeez, I almost lost my head.
This is the Bell Witch Cave. It's supposed to be the hiding place of a poltergeist called the Bell Witch, an evil spirit entity that terrorized the Bell family. I don't know if there's any truth to the story. I suppose I'd believe it if I met the Bell Witch for myself. Hey guys.
Hi, Christina.
The cave is on the property once owned by the Bell family. It's now owned by the Kirby family. Has anything scary happened in or around the cave?
We heard some weird noises coming from way back in the cave. We never did figure out what it was, but it was so loud that we didn't have no choice but to run out.
I'm going to discover the truth about the Bell Witch. I have to go in. Bye.
Good luck.
Are you in here, Bell Witch? Show yourself. I'm scaring myself. Okay, Michelle, maybe you're the problem. Poltergeists are supposed to be drawn to girls around my age. Maybe I'll have better luck if you leave.
It's really tight. Hello? This is so creepy.
Okay, so I didn't meet the Bell Witch. But does that prove there's no such thing as a poltergeist? Well, there are plenty of reported cases today. And Tom Evans believes they're fake. He spent years researching poltergeist cases. Are they all fake?
Well, we don't know that for a fact, but there is one thing we do know, is it does occur with kids about the age of 11 to 15.
Why do poltergeists seem to target teenagers? Some psychologists say it's because the teenagers are starved for attention. They're the ones throwing the furniture around when no one's looking, and a ghost gets blamed for it. Betsy Bell was right in that age group when the Bell Witch targeted her. What do you think the Bell Witch was, Tom?
Well, I think the Bell Witch is exactly like most cases people report for poltergeists. I believe it was a case where Betsy came of age, and many of the problems and the things that the family saw were exaggerated by them and caused by Betsy herself.
But what about her dad, John Bell? Who poisoned him? We know the Bell's neighbors, Kate Batts, had a motive for killing John Bell. Is it possible that she poisoned him and somehow faked the Bell Witch to cover up her tracks?
Well, that's what some people believe, but I don't believe that that particularly happened. I think it more than likely it was something that the family members did, or maybe he did it accidentally himself.
But what about Richard Bell's book? He writes about all kinds of details that seem impossible for Betsy to have faked, and he was there.
But you got to remember, he was 6 years old when he witnessed them and didn't write things down until he was 20 years older.
I don't remember too much about what was going on when I was 6. Do you? We'll probably never know for sure what happened to the Bell family. Even if the Bell Witch was all made up, it's still the scariest ghost story I've ever heard. There is another explanation people give for poltergeists. They say if furniture goes flying around, it may be caused by a person with psychokinetic powers. Now, there's no proof that people can move things with their minds, but there are ways to make it look like you're moving things with your mind. Hey, Dave.
Hey, what you got there? Ah, the Bell Witch.
Yeah, there's some pretty freaky stuff in there. But what about the idea that somebody from the Bell family was using psychokinesis?
Ooh, I doubt it. That kind of mind power only exists in movies and magic shows. Let me show you what I mean. You can try this at home. All you need is a bottle and a straw, and then you get mental. Here's how you do it. With some scissors, cut a small slit in one end of a straw. Now, break off about an arm's length of clear thread, which you can get at any sewing store. Then, slide one end of the thread up and into the slit in the straw. And wrap the other end around a button on your shirt. Leave the straw on the table until you're ready. Then, ask your friends, hey, have you guys ever seen a snake charmer? Pick up the straw and drop it inside the bottle, threaded end down. The thread should be loose and hidden behind the bottle. Now, as you gesture magically with your hands, catch the thread under your thumb and lean your body back slowly, keeping your hands where they are. The thread will tighten and cause the straw to rise out of the bottle. Grab the straw, at the same time secretly pulling the thread out of the slit. Then hand it out for examination.
Nice. But if you don't think anyone in the Bell house was psychokinetic, how did all those things go flying around the room?
Well, I wouldn't know. I wasn't there. But one thing's for sure. There's about as much proof that poltergeists exist as there is for psychokinesis. None. Did you just...
No.
Anne Boleyn had a strawberry-shaped birthmark on her neck. And that was bad luck for her, because many people believed it was a sign she was a witch. If they hadn't believed that, she might not have lost her head. Thanks for watching.
And don't forget,
things aren't always what they seem.
hey,